And good morning, year four. And it's actually day 7 of our home learning today. So the date's Tuesday, the 19th of January 2021. Oh my goodness, 7 whole days. I bet you're so missing us. Haha, I'm missing you lot as well. Okay, I've noticed when I've listened to these videos back, I say okay so many times. So I'm going to try and not use okay from now on. Let's start at number 1 of our early morning work. Have a look. True or false? The shapes have the same perimeter. You know what to do. Count the squares all the way around or do 2 alternate sides and add them together and multiply them by 2. Number 2, calculate the perimeter of the rectangle. What's your unit of measurement? Bit of a clue. Number 3, match the shape to its perimeter. Number 4, remember rectilinear shape is a shape very similar to number 3, and you have to draw a rectilinear shape with a perimeter of 30 centimetres. And the last one, number 5, Jerry says the perimeter of his shape is 21 centimetres. Is he correct? Explain why. Okay, so pause the video now and get going with those 5 questions. Brilliant. Okay then, let's go through the answers. Number 1, true or false, the shapes have the same perimeter. Well, I worked it out. The yellow rectangle has a perimeter of 14 centimetres and the blue one has a perimeter of 14 centimetres. So that means the statement is true. Number 2, calculate the perimeter of the rectangle. So I added 8 metres, add 6 metres, that is 14 metres, and I multiplied that by 2 and that gave me an answer of 28 metres. Number 3, match the shape to its perimeter. Is it 12 centimetres, 14 centimetres, 16 centimetres or 18 centimetres? And after counting all the squares on the outside of the shape, I found that it was 16 centimetres. Number D, I will need to see those, okay? But you could get someone to check them at home just to check that the perimeter is 30 centimetres. And number 5, Jerry says the perimeter of his shape is 21 centimetres. Is he correct? No, he is not correct. Explain why. Because the perimeter of his shape is 20 centimetres. Okay? Right, brilliant. Okay, so English. You will need your copy of the How to Train Your Dragon. So pause the video now and go and get it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to read page 32 and 33 again. Okay, so I'll read it and you need to follow. So we'll start with Hiccup goes into the cave first. Hiccup goes into the cave first because he is the son of the chief, he sneered, and if any of the dragons are awake, he'll be the first to know about it. Once we're in the cave, it's every man for himself. Only the strong can belong. Although he wasn't your usual mindless thug of a hooligan, Hiccup wasn't a wimp either. Being frightened is not the same as being a coward. Maybe he was as brave as anyone else there, because he went to catch a dragon despite no more dragons alike. And when he had climbed perilously to the mouth of the cave and had found that inside there was a long, twisty tunnel, he still went down it, despite not being too keen on long, twisty tunnels with dragons at the end of them. The tunnel was dripping and clammy. Clammy means sticky when in the summer when it's really hot and you get really hot and sweaty, you become clammy. At times it was high enough for the boys to walk upright, then it would close down into narrow, claustrophobic holes that the boys could only just squeeze through, squirming on their stomachs with the flares held in their mouths. After 10 long minutes of walking and crawling into the heart of the cliff, the stench of dragon, the smell, a salty stink of seaweed and old mackerel heads got stronger and stronger until finally it became unbearable and the tunnel opened out into a ginormous cavern. The cavern was full of more dragons than Hiccup could ever have imagined existed. They were every possible colour and size, and they included all the species that Hiccup had heard of, and quite a few more that he hadn't. Hiccup started sweating as he looked around him at pile after pile of animals draped over every available surface, even hanging upside down from the roof like giant bats. They were all fast asleep, and most of them were snoring in unison. That means all together. This was a sound so loud and so deep that it seemed to penetrate right into Hiccup's body and vibrate around his soft insides, churning his stomach and bowels and forcing his heart to beat at the same slow dragon pulse. If just one of these countless creatures were to wake up, it would raise the alarm to the others, and the boys would meet a horrible death. Hiccup had once seen a deer that had wandered too close to Wild Dragon Cliff, torn to pieces in a matter of minutes. Hiccup closed his eyes. I will not think about it, he said to himself. I will not. Fantastic. Okay then. I wonder if any of you can remember what a preposition is. If you are in my class, and I'm sure Mr. Smith's got them up on his wall somewhere, we have got little posters of all the different word classes. So we have nouns and adjectives and verbs, and there's preposition there. Okay, if you can't remember, let's see if we can read on. So a preposition is a type of word that tells us where something is in connection with something else. So there are prepositions of time, of place, or of movement. So if we have a look at the next page, if we have a look further on, we'll have a look at some examples of prepositions. Okay then, so here we have a preposition mind map. Okay, so we have prepositions of time, place, or movement. What I would like you to do is we'll read them through. We'll go around the mind map and we will read them, and then I would like you to pause the video and copy those down in your book, on your piece of paper. Okay, so we have under, before, at 6 o'clock, after, toward, in, above, with, off, during, beside, above, on, through, below, across. Okay then, So which ones are preposition of time? Yeah, at 6 o'clock, before, during, after. What about prepositions of place? Where is it? It is across the table. It is below the table. It is through the trees. It is on the side. It is above the whiteboard. It is beside something. Okay? What about preposition of movement? Which ones? Can you move across the table? Can you sit below? It all depends what it is in the sentence. Okay? So copy those down and then start the video again. Thank you. Okay, so in your book, I would like you to write the date, Tuesday the 19th, on your piece of paper, because I've got your books, Tuesday the 19th of January 2021, and your target is, I know what a preposition is. And I am sure you will have two circles, two things, round things that you can draw around, like a tin of baked beans or something, and draw them on your piece of paper. Okay, they don't even have to be that big. You have got a blue circle and a pink circle. And the blue one is prepositions and the pink one is not prepositions. And you have got some words at the bottom of that on the table there. And I would like you to decide, are they prepositions or are they not? If they are prepositions, I would like you to decide, are there prepositions of place, time, or movement? So next to it, you could put before lunch. I would put that in prepositions, and in brackets, I would put a T for time because it's a preposition of time. Before lunch is meaning it's before lunch. And so then I would put, yeah, you get my meaning. Okay, so if you can stop the video and do that. Brilliant. Okay then, so the next thing that I'm asking you to do is have a look on page 32 and page 33 of what we have just read. And then I would like you to look for any prepositions that you can see there. Okay, once you've done that, any prepositions that you see in the book and any of the prepositions that you've seen so far on this video, I would like you to put them into your own sentences. Okay? And then underline those prepositions in your sentence so that I can see where they are when I mark your work. And have you noticed, year 4, I have not said that word? Aren't I fab? Right, you need to pause the video now and then when you finish, you can start it again. Okay then, so we're coming up to our maths session. Okay, so I've said it. So what we're going to look at is we're going to carry on looking at equivalent fractions. When I've been looking through your work, we'll still need a little bit more practice with that and even writing fractions. Okay? I've said it again. Let's move on. So we have our equivalent fractions. And this is asking you, and you have got these sheets in your pack. You have to shade the bar model to represent the equivalent fractions. So A, it's saying a half equals 3/6. So on the top bar, it is divided into 2 equal parts, and I know that because the denominator, The bottom number of your fraction is a 2, okay? And I have to colour in one part because at the side it says 1/2, okay? Now, when I have a look at the second bar in A, it's divided into 6 equal parts. I know that because the denominator of the fraction, the bottom number, is a 6. Now it's telling you to shade how many parts. It's telling you to look at the numerator and you have to shade in 3 parts. Okay, what do you notice? They are equivalent. They are the same. Okay? Now, have a look at B. You have 1/2 and it's saying it is equivalent to 5/10. So how many of those 1/10 do you need to shade? How many of those segments on that bar? Have a look at the numerator, the top number of your fraction. Okay? Brilliant. Then you need to do the same with C and D. Okay? And you can do that yourselves. Look at the denominator and look at the numerator, the top number, and it will tell you how many you need to shade. You have a number 2, a fraction wall. Okay, and this will help you to complete the equivalent fractions. The fraction wall, the top bar is divided into 2 equal parts. That is shown by the denominator in your fraction. The yellow bar is the same length as the top one, but it is divided into how many equal parts? 4. And I know that because of the denominator, the bottom number of your fraction. And the really orange part is divided into 8 equal parts. It is 8 equal parts because of the denominator, the bottom number of your fraction. And using this, you will be able to see, using that picture as a clue, that diagram as a clue, how many quarters and eighths and halves are equivalent, are the same. So if I look at A, it's telling me 1/2 is equivalent to or the same as how many quarters. So find yourself on the top row 1/2. And you can see that it's one segment, it's one part of the 2. Then I need to see how many quarters are equivalent to 1/2. And then I can see that it's 1 and 2. So my numerator would be number 2. So 1/2 equals 2 quarters. And then go on and have a look at B. 1/2 is equivalent to how many eighths? So I'll go back up to my fraction wall and I find my 1/2 again. And I work out how many eighths, how many of those eighths are the same. So how many of those eighths make up the same as 1/2. I can count that there are 4 eighths. 1/2 is equivalent to 4 eighths. Oh, I'm starting to see a picture there. 1/2 is equivalent to 2 quarters. What do you notice about the number 4 and the number 2? 1/2 is equivalent to 4 eighths. What do you notice about 8 and 4? Oh, have a think about that. Now, if I go to C, it's saying 2 quarters. So I go and find my bar with 2 quarters. And it's saying 4 parts of what? 4 what is equivalent to 2 quarters? Well, if it was 4 halves, it would be off the page. So it's certainly not that. 4 eighths is equivalent to 2 quarters. Let's see if you can do the rest. Use the fraction wall to help you. Okay, now your task, this part in number 3A, is that you need to label the fractions on the fraction wall. Okay, so you've got one whole one along the top. Then your next part of the wall, how many equal parts do you have? You've got 1, 2, 3. So your denominator in your fraction is going to be 3. And each one is 1/3 because it's 1/3. Then do the same for the next ones. Count how many equal parts all the way across the wall per row, per line. Then you need to do exactly the same as what we did in number 2 to find the equivalence using what you've done on your fraction wall. Have a go, okay? So you've got a fraction wall. You've got to decide, you've got to work it out if those statements that I've given you are true or false. And you've got to tick the answer. So let's have a look at A. 1/2 is equivalent to 3/6. So I'm going up to my fraction wall. I'm going to find 1/2. I'm going to go down the wall to where it's the 6th, which is the green one right at the bottom. And I'm going to decide, is a half the same as 3/6? And I'm going to say it is true because 1/2 is equivalent to 3/6. Look. What can you tell me about 1 and 2? What can you tell me about 3 and 6? What did I ask you before? 1 is half of 2. 3 is half of 6. There's a bit of a clue how to work out what is equivalent to a half. The numerator, the top number of your fraction, is half of the bottom, the denominator. You've then got to decide fractions equivalent to 1/2 have even numerators. Remember which number on your fraction is a numerator? Is it the top number or the bottom number? You've got to decide, is it always, is it sometimes, or never? And I would use your fraction wall on the previous page to decide to back up your answer. The same as what we do in reading. Show me examples. Okay? C. If a fraction is equivalent to 1/2, the denominator will be double the numerator. Ha ha! Have a go. And again, use your fraction wall to help you. 2/3 is equivalent to 3/4. You've got to decide whether it's true or false. And then number 5, are the statements always, sometimes, or never true? Click your answer. Draw a diagram to support your answer. The greater the numerator, the greater the fraction. Is it always, is it sometimes, or is it never? You decide. You need to complete those sheets for me, please, and put today's date on, if you wouldn't mind. Good luck. Have a really good go. Remember, a fraction has a number, a numerator, it has a denominator. It is not just one number. Okay? Brilliant. Pause the video now and get working. Brilliant. Thank you, Year 4. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going now to start our reading workshop. And if you can remember rightly, we were reading a nonsense poem. Who can remember that nonsense poem that we started yesterday? I bet you've all got your hands up there and you're going, me, miss. So let's get going. So, you need your copy of the Jabberwocky, and that's our nonsense poem. And I'll read it through again for you, okay? Then I'll set you off on your task. So, the Jabberwocky by, who can remember who it was by? Who was the author? Yep, it was Lewis Carroll. And what book did it come from? Aha, you need to tell me that in an email or at the bottom in the comments. I'm a YouTuber now, so if you just comment below. So, the Jabberwocky. 'Twas brillig and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borrowed groves, and the mum rats outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jubjub bird and shun, the frumious Bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the Manxorm for he sought. So rested he by the Tumtum tree, and stood a while in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock with eyes aflame came whiffling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumping back. And last thou slain the Jabberwock, come to my arms, my beamish boy. O frabjous day, callooh, callay, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borrowed groves, and the mum rats outgrabe. Did anyone notice what about the first verse and the final verse, the last verse? They're both the same. Okay, so let's move on to our task. So, your task is to find out the meaning of unknown words. So, first of all, can you pause the video now and can you write today's date and the target that is on your screen now? Okay. So you've done your you've done your date and target. Now in your pack, you will have a sheet with all the words on that are not sort of nonsense words, and they will give you a meaning on. Okay, so what I would like you to do on your paper is to write the poem The Jabberwocky, because it'll be easier than just scribbling all over the one that you've got. But when you've written the lines down, in between each line, I want you to miss a line out. Okay? So I have shown you what I want you to do on the next part. Remember, you've got to miss a line out. So, in the missing lines, what you need to do is you need to use the sheet that I've given you, and you need to find out what those nonsense words mean. And then I would like you to, if you have a different colour, or if you're writing in pencil and you're going to use a pen, that would be perfect. Okay, so I've started with the first line. And the first line of the poem was, "'Twas brillig and the slithy toves." You now need to look on that sheet, and "'twas" means it was, brillig is evening, it was evening, and the slithy toves. And so slithy is slimy, and toves, it means active badgers. Okay, so the meaning of that sentence was, it was evening and the slimy and active badger. Then you've got the next line of your poem. You need to use the sheet and find out and see if you can write it like I've done that. So can you pause the video now, and can you complete that for me? Okay, so we're going to carry on with our history topic, which is the Romans, and we're still going to be looking at the invasions. So let's move on. So in your pack, you will have lots of different coloured maps like what you can see on the screen. Can you get them for me, please? Okay, so in this map, you can see that this map is from 800 BC. That means it was 800 years before Christ. And it's all different colours. And you've got a key at the top right hand corner. Yellow is land controlled by the Celts tribes. Purple is land controlled by the Romans, and green is land controlled by lots of other different tribes. Can you see, are there any Roman tribe, is there any land controlled by the Romans? No. What colour is mostly on that map? Yeah, it's green. So it's by lots of different tribes, isn't it? And you can see around about France and such, like the top of Italy, there's the orangey yellowy colour, and that's the Celts. What was the sea called that was between Great Britain and France? It was the English Channel. Yeah, so you can see the Celts are going towards the English Channel. So if we have a look now, we have come to 237 BC. What do you notice about the map? It is exactly the same places. However, what can you see about the colours? What's happened? Yeah? Oh, I can see Italy, which is like the boot. Yeah? And what's happened? It is purple. So The Romans have got all of Italy. The Celts, what's happened to the Celts? They have gone into Spain. They've spread more over Europe. And look at Great Britain and Ireland. They are orange. They control, the Celts control all of that piece of land. Yeah? So, if we move on to 133 BC, what can you see now? Look at the purple. It's spread into northern Africa. It's spread into Spain and parts of southern Europe. What about Great Britain? Has anything changed there? Oh. Now, we're looking at 44 BC. Are the Celts or the Romans or other tribes who's controlling most of the land in Europe? I think, yeah, it is. It's the Romans. The Romans are now taking over France. Where are they moving towards? So now we're in AD 79. Now, what can we say about the Celts in AD 79? Are they as dominant? Do they own or do they control most of the land? No. Who does? Have a look at the key. And then we've got AD 117 AD. And again, you can see that the Romans have taken over most of Europe. They have taken over mainly the southern Great Britain, working up to about, I would say, Yorkshire or Manchester and Liverpool. And look at AD 305 AD. Where do you think in the UK are the most important Roman cities? I wonder if you can find that for me and find that information out. Okay. Now, your task that you will have to do today and tomorrow, it is not to be completed all today, is I want you to make a poster and with a timeline maybe showing the spread of the Roman Empire. So think about what you could do right at the beginning. Were the Romans around right at the beginning? In the first map that I showed you? No. It was all mainly other tribes or the Celts. You've got all the different dates there that I need you to look at, okay, and to use. You've got the maps that I've given, that I've just shown you, or you should have, okay, and see if you can use writing, maps, and pictures, or combination of all of them to make a poster of how the Romans spread through Europe, from starting off in Italy and spreading all the way through Europe, all the way to Great Britain. Okay, have a good go. So this is your activity for today and tomorrow. Okay, because it is a big job. So I want you to think about what you've learned and what is the most interesting fact that you have learned, maybe in this lesson or yesterday as well. Okay. So, once you've done your task, that's all for today, folks. Haha, I needed to get that in. And try and read a book for 20 to 30 minutes and have a good night. Email me some of those fantastic posters, and if you have any questions or you're stuck on something or you just want to email me or whatever and say hi, that is fine. Okay, so I'll see you tomorrow and bye.